You're listening to She's the Business podcast. Is global expansion on your 2025 vision board? Well, if it is, then today's episode is probably going to have some insights that you definitely do not want to miss. Stay tuned. Hi, I'm your host, Jessica Osborne, and over the last 25 years in marketing and business, I've helped many brands to launch, scale, and grow, with some of them becoming multi-billion-dollar companies. I'm here to inspire you to get out of your own way and create a profitable, fulfilling business while living the lifestyle you really desire, without all the hustle. So I bring you She's the Business podcast, a unique blend of strategies, tactics, mindset, health, and spirituality, literally everything you need to be the successful leader of your dream business. Made by women, for women, this is your weekly dose of motivation and inspiration. So joining me on the podcast today is a very special guest all the way from South Korea, and her name is Hyein Yoon. She is a specialist at helping businesses to launch their service or product into her local country, which is in South Korea and also Japan, where she really understands the cultural differences, the idiosyncrasies about how you actually market a product or a service in their locality. And she provides a marketing agency to help companies do just that, which is just incredible. Hyein has a YouTube channel where she puts out a lot of her own marketing content. She's really a specialist in SEO and social media, helping companies to kind of launch their products through the use of social media and ads and SEO, which is incredible because I learned through our interview today that there are totally different search engines that they use in South Korea and in Japan that we don't use here in Australia or in the US. So I've learned something today. I'm sure that you're going to learn a whole lot about how you can take your business, your product, your service across borders and be successful in doing it. So without further ado, let me play this interview for you. Hello, I'm here in the studio today with Hyein Yoon, who is all the way from South Korea, and Hyein is the founder of HY Marketing, which is a global boutique marketing agency. Hello, Hyein. Welcome to the podcast.
Oh, thank you for the welcoming message for me, especially. Yeah, I'm so good to be here. I'm the founder of HY Marketing, helping international brands tapping into such as Korea. Japan is more of a like English speaking market. Yeah, more broad approach, for example, but we specifically also specialize in Korean marketing because I'm a Korean. So that's why I'm more familiar with those, like all the consumer behavior. And then recently we helped Australian brand actually tapping into Korea, which we led really amazing sales result for sure. And then more specifically, I can tell myself I'm a 90-day social media launch specialist because I usually help international brands who has a great success record. And then if they want to tap into new markets, they need to actually specialize in their products or services, but they need to know the consumer behavior or localization, all that stuff. So that's why I call launch specialist because these needs like all of things like from like influencer marketing and social media marketing, and then understanding the marketing strategy and all.
Yeah, amazing. So just to understand that you're based in Korea and you help companies to, I guess, enter that local market and help bring a lot of the intel around, you know, what the consumer behavior is and all of that kind of thing, and put together. So a 90-day launch specialist. So I'm guessing you kind of have like a 90-day launch plan. Is that how it works?
Yeah, that's correct. So first things first, I usually do initial strategy session so that I can understand how I can actually map out all of the launch plan. But mostly as a social media specialist and then helping more about like e-commerce or those like skincare brand or beauty brands, mostly we could actually do through like a social media, like by incorporating influencer collaboration and then organic social media strategy. And then also if we can find a like focused customer group, we can actually do more about like spread the word event or hiring some micro influencers there and then spread the word at the same time. So I usually do more about like social media marketing stuff or launching campaigns.
Yeah, amazing. What do you think that you see companies making a mistake when they're trying to enter a new market where, it's not their native language, maybe from a different culture? Like you said, you've helped an Australian company to launch in South Korea. So what are some of the like hidden challenges that we may not be aware of that you can help them to, I guess, mitigate against?
The most important thing is that there is a cultural nuances. Like it's really different. For example, we have some of the issues like we have really, for example, the finger shape, and this was like against, I don't know, like some men's perspectives. It was very huge issues in Korea, but some of the international brands didn't know about this stuff, and then they put this finger on their drink label.
Okay.
So yeah, this goes viral and then got a lot of hate and then like comments from trolls, like they got really attacked at the same time. So like you have to actually research thoroughly before actually making some of the like product or even your like packaging for sure. But most of the time they usually want to like expand right away and then see the quick result, but you have to really research thoroughly. Even just you could do social listening in some specific platform, and or you can actually collaborate with local partner for sure. And then the translation itself, like actually you could do through GPT nowadays, or there is a DeepL, and then there's other translation tools. But yeah, it's kind of like accurate, but at the same time, there's no sense of like, oh, this is from human. You know what I mean? Like the marketing copywriting should be really different. And then this about like resonating, trying to make people buy or make some action at the same time. So it should be like tapping into their minds, not about like, oh, this is our stuff and then you should buy or something like that.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And do you find that some of the strategies that you would apply with the social media or with your lead generation would be different depending on what country and locality you're working with?
Yeah. Actually, it's kind of like a different, for example, Korea, Japan has its own language. We don't really mostly speak English. We have a Korean language and Japanese language. Because of that, so we have a different search engine platform like Naver, Naver, and then we don't like much use the Google itself. So 70% or 80% usually use Naver, not about Google. So if you don't know about this landscape, how you're going to research everything. And then also we have a Kakao, Kakao. This is like a WhatsApp social media channel. And then we usually interact with people in that platform, not about WhatsApp. So there is a specific landscape that you have to really understand, like what kind of like services we are using, and then how we actually interact those with people, like like those whole things.
Yeah, absolutely. They're quite fundamental, aren't they? Because if you're on a completely different search engine, then that means you can't just lift up your marketing strategy that is working for you wherever you're currently and then take it to another country and expect it to work the same way, especially if they're using totally different social media tools or, like even the basic search engine. I didn't know about that. So there we go. We've learned something new today.
Yeah. But here's the thing. We also use social media, the same one, like Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, TikTok, yeah, for sure. But the amount of people, how they are actually using could be different. Like, for example, I know in the US, TikTok is having some trouble right now, but at the same time it's kind of like popular in there. But in Korea it's kind of new still, like just for those young generation, not about like 40s or 50s. So you have to really research those your target audience, how they actually use specific platforms
Yeah.
at the same time. Yeah.
Amazing. And so do you, like, obviously when you're putting together your launch plan to help somebody to launch their service offering or their business into your geography, advising them on what platforms to use, does it depend on who their target is as to, what you're recommending? Or do you have, like, would you say, Facebook or Instagram? Are there any that are just like, you just have to be on it if you want to get anywhere? I'm curious as to what you would be advising.
Yeah, sure. I'm happy to share. So the platform, we have actually default setup. If you are targeting more about like B2C landscape, like for example, YouTube or Instagram, those two things like default setup. But if you're targeting like B2B, like a service businesses, it should be, like those LinkedIn. LinkedIn is not really popular in South Korea, by the way, even in Japan, because we are more self-conscious about like what we are believing or what we want to actually post about. I don't know, but maybe 30% or 40%, it's not official, but it's not everyone in there actually.
Okay.
So you have to actually go to some platform where you can see those businesses, and then those listing platform, you can actually go to there, and then maybe possibly you can see the name, and then check their emails on LinkedIn if they are on there for sure. But if it's not the case, you should just do networking or you could do just trade shows in a different way. And then maybe you can ask around, is there any other person that I can contact with, those whole things. So B2B services, businesses, they can incorporate LinkedIn, but not right now, like the content marketing is kind of getting changing in a way. So even though you are a B2B business owner, and then if you think just LinkedIn and I have to be professional or something like that, but sometimes we need to see the authenticity at the same time, So that's why even though they're from like public company, they incorporate like Instagram Reels, and so that they can show them more about like what they are doing. So I think it's changing for sure. But yeah, just default setup is like LinkedIn, and then probably YouTube if you are just doing B2B businesses.
Yeah, amazing. When you're working with a company and they're wanting to, expand, they've got something that already works where they are like with a lead magnet and maybe, a basic sales funnel. What's your general approach when you work with a company like that and they're like, well, we've already got all this and it's working? Do you look and see whether you could repurpose that? Or do you think we've got to create something that's much more tailored and specific to the geography that you're in?
So if it's actually general ideas, for example, let's say it's about marketing, and then you want to show marketing calendar in your free guide, if that makes sense. And then you actually translate into like Japanese or Korean. This would work well, but here's the thing, actually. We use Kakao as a interaction with customers, like getting questions from customers, and also the social media search engine neighbor. This is another way that we can actually interact with customers for sure. And then not like an over 90% or 80%, we don't really incorporate email marketing. So if you are actually doing that, it's going to be getting more really great attention. You can actually get attention for sure. Because it's so the free guide and then getting more lead generation things, it can be different, but the core brand message or core marketing strategy is not going to be changing that much. So it's more about localization, I can tell.
Yeah, excellent. So you're saying that people don't use email marketing all that much at the moment?
Not 100%. Like I could see that like because I'm part of mastermind group in the US, and then I could see that like all that things stuff, and then they really use email marketing a lot, I can tell. But in compared to South Korea or Japan, I don't know the deep down about like why we are not really using email marketing that much, but it's lesser than that. Like I can see that.
Amazing. Well, that's really interesting. I'm curious because it's been around for so long. Like email marketing was the first, I guess, real digital marketing back in the days when we were building websites on Dreamweaver. Like it was, way before Facebook was even invented or thought about. Email marketing was around, and so it's such a well-established channel, and I think sometimes it kind of gets forgotten. Not forgotten. I mean, people use it a lot, but I don't think people realize it is still being used because it is so powerful, and that makes me curious as to why it's not as widely used in Japan and Korea. What an opportunity.
Yeah. It's an opportunity actually, for sure.
Yeah.
Like, there's no less competition here going on. For example, when I looked at article talking about Costco, because I was so curious about how Costco succeeded in everywhere.
Yeah, right.
What I mean? And then what I found was it was strong just value proposition. For example, there was a shocking value and quality compared to what they are actually spending. So if you have a strong USP, this actually goes beyond the localization, I can tell. So, and even in marketing, email marketing, for sure, if you have a strong USP and then the language or consumer behavior, I think you can tap into that market really easily too.
Yeah. It's so interesting. I think that we forget, because it feels like there's so many places around the world, especially I guess for English speakers, we're used to having a lot of people around the world speak English. And so you sort of forget that there are a lot of cultural differences in other countries, and just even in, like you said before, the company who did put the finger that was not the right way to do it in Korea, I'm thinking
it was so insane.
Yeah, it's something that you wouldn't even think of asking anybody, because you wouldn't even know that it was different or wrong, or that kind of thing. It's like you just don't know what you don't know, and unfortunately they found out the hard way. But yeah, it just made me think it is interesting, because I think that when you are going into somewhere where there is a different language, absolutely, the nuances of language are so important, and it's such a strong, powerful tool. But it's even just, what are the differences, and really doing that research, connecting in with probably a local advisor, because you don't know what you don't know. And it's just, I can really sense that.
Yeah. And then one thing is that people think about just language only, but it's more about you have to think about the design, the sense of how you can actually incorporate your ideas, because it's not about just translation. This design goes to just another language. It's not like that. You have to just think about how you're going to serve those target audience in specific market, not just language itself, if that makes sense.
Yeah, that does make sense. All of the things form together to create that communication. And I always say to people, when I look at, for brand, for example, the visual part of your brand is really just the tip of the iceberg. That is the icing on the cake. But the most part of your brand is A, in your words, how you're communicating, and B, in the unspoken, the actions, the presence, the way that you're doing something. That is so much stronger in terms of your brand, how someone experiences your brand, the feeling they get from it, the depth of the connection, so much more than just the visual. And it's interesting because most people concentrate 90% on the visuals. And I'm always like, that is not going to make much difference at all. You could change the colors and it won't make any difference. It's all the other things combined that make a huge difference. There's a little bit of difference, but not so much.
Yeah. For example, when I see some of the materials or advertisements on images from the US or other countries, there's a subtle design, creatives there, but compared to Korea or Japan, we have a really different design, images and videos, or even in Korea, it's more about it could be different based on industry, but more of a intuitive, you can see the keyword here, and then so that people can see that and then automatically click the read more and then see the caption. Hopefully they can engage, something like that. it's not about like just how I can tell like not subtle image in a way.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
yeah. It's really different.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
interesting. So a lot more direct with the call to action. Do you think in the reels, so people really see the call to action and they click on read more, or is it more about a keyword like something to intrigue them to click read more? What is their
Uh,
strategy that they use?
oh yeah. It's more about the
Mm-hmm.
keyword, like and then the readability, and then when you use like white
Mm-hmm.
color into your title, and then you put, for example, black in your background, it's kind of like we can see the white here, right? It's so direct.
Yes.
It, for sure, like some of beauty brands that they don't do that much because they don't really put keyword into their image. You know what I mean? They usually put the product.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, it could be different. But when it comes to more of a like SaaS or technology advertisement, it's more about like a direct purchase, not about like persuading like or I don't know like having more context about what you're doing. It's changing,
Mm.
but there's really a difference between how the US or Australia or Korea or Japan does.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's so interesting. I will have to check it out and go and have a look and see what people are doing. But yeah, I love your example, white and black. The contrast, you can't get a bigger contrast than white on black. So, like you say, that's really, really clear and popping out, and it's not definitely not subtle when you use that in design. I'm curious to hear from you because you've mentioned quite a few times about how much it's changing at the moment. So, curious to hear what you think works really well in 2024, but also what you see as changing and being the new, the new way to succeed in 2025. Do you have a few examples that you could share?
Sure. So in 2024 so far, so if I can talk about my client's case first, and then later I can talk about my business's marketing later.
Mm.
So first things first, this case, the specifically Australian brand tapping into Korea. So we actually hired just one influencer from Instagram, and then we did Instagram marketing and Facebook marketing, and also we hired we have a actually neighbor cafe group. This is similar to Facebook
Mm-hmm.
group, by the way. Yeah, so we hired some of the micro influencers
Mm-hmm.
there by incorporating those just three things. Like actually, in within 3 weeks, it was just more about one influencer from IG, the Instagram, and then just organic social media strategy. It was just two things actually, but within 3 weeks, because there was a strong USB that we actually trust Australian brand in Korea, by the way.
Mm-hmm.
So and then like the product was so good, like it was from natural ingredients, and then we can tell this is so good, and then they probably didn't want to miss that. So that's why we were able to hit 1,000 sales within 3 weeks without any advertising spend. And
Mm.
what else? We also hit 1.3 million views just by utilizing one Instagram influencer and then the organic social media strategy, and then got 30 reviews, and then the average score reviews was about like 4.7, which was so great.
Wow.
So I mean, if you're in B2C brand, you have to utilize. I don't think this is just remain only Korea. So influencer marketing, organic social media, it's more about like building credibility through influencer for sure, and then fostering relationship through your organic social media. Or if you can actually put more money into your top performing content, for
Yeah.
sure you could do like a advertising at the same
Mm-hmm.
time. And so I think this is gonna be really going up and up again, the influencer marketing and social media
Mm-hmm.
marketing, and then head over to my marketing for my business. And I usually do one YouTube video. I usually film one YouTube video, and then I repurpose this to blog and the short form videos and the short form text, and then another LinkedIn newsletter. So it goes like 8 or 9 different ways.
Yeah.
And then the reason why I'm doing this because I usually get really great leads or sales from YouTube
Okay.
actually. So yeah, although I'm doing everything in English, and I don't have any proper resources in Korea or Japan, but I have a network. I have strong network in Korea or Japan, so that's why I can actually connect more easily.
Mm-hmm.
But given the based on my actually customers or client basis, I usually target international brands tapping into the new market. So I should actually do in English. So,
Yes. Yeah.
uh, yeah. So anyway, so YouTube marketing, the power of the SEO into your title, it's been really game changer for me because people have an intention about searching keywords on Google or YouTube, and then I don't have to really engage with many people on YouTube. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So yeah, it was so good. Like Instagram,
Mm-hmm.
Facebook, LinkedIn, I have to engage with people every single time if I want to increase my engagement rate, actually.
Yes. Yeah.
So it was so frustrating a little bit. So I usually just focus on YouTube marketing and
Mm.
then my free guides to build my email list. And then also, if you are a service provider, having the lead gen funnels, lead gen funnels from like you put case study here, and then after that, this is my paid strategy session, and then you can purchase here, and then later, hopefully, you can actually close a deal later. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
this is how I'm approaching, and then I think improving that process is going to be helping in 2025 too.
Yeah, absolutely. I love that. The just the simple difference between YouTube, something that you don't have to go and engage with people specifically. You just have to be really well targeted with your keywords, which obviously you're doing really well. Do you have a particular place that you love to research the keywords that you use, or is it intuitive in terms of what you think people are searching for? How do you approach it?
Mm. So what I usually do is about, like we have to make content pillars, like probably 9 different content pillars I have already. And then from there, you can actually map out all of your content topics, like 10 or 30 content topics there. And then I have a actually specific formula or framework that I'm using, which I call BONE strategy. I usually use this into my titles or even
Mm-hmm.
advertising and all that stuff. So basically, B is the unique benefit, and then O is one target, and then N is use of numbers, and then E is the power of emotion. So when you can incorporate one or two things into your titles, actually this can really succeed your SEO effort. Also, at the same time, you are putting your video on YouTube at the same time. So this is like social media effect once again. So
Mm.
incorporating SEO and social media will be really game changer for you because I mean, people search for some keywords and then you have your own face into your video itself. Like it's more about like connecting with people. And then I heard that it's actually similar to how you met people outside, like even though it's just video itself. So
Yeah.
yeah, if you can do the SEO effort, actually, I use vidIQ to optimize all of the YouTube title. Probably you know too. And then those titles, we can actually check out like the score, the SEO scores for
Right.
sure. And then
Yeah.
if it's over 80, I think that's just okay. Yeah.
Yeah, awesome. Yeah, that's such a good share and a good tip. So, checking out vidIQ for your SEO scores on your titles, great tool to use because I think, once you've got one you think is good, plug it in and just check and see what the score is and is it going to work for you. Maybe it's even just tweaking one word or something different that can make a big difference,
Yeah, yeah,
right?
yeah.
It's all of the
Yeah. And then
nuances.
and then one thing actually you could do is that utilizing GPT a little bit by putting my prompt to like BONE strategy. This is my BONE strategy. Can you actually incorporate one or two things into title? And then suggest 3 different examples. And then when you have 3 different examples, you can just copy and paste your YouTube videos and then utilize the vidIQ. Actually, there is a free Chrome extension style, so you can just do everything for free. So yeah,
Yeah.
pretty
Yeah,
easy.
that's awesome. Love it. Do you have any final tips for anybody who's thinking about, you know, growing their business beyond their current geography, maybe coming over into Japan or Korea? Any final tips that you would love to share with the audience today?
Oh, for sure. I'd love to share many things as
I
possible.
know.
I don't know. I like talking. So Anyway, so I'm actually building my own movement about like global
Mm-hmm.
movement project, which I usually interview some of the global field leaders, who tend to like struggle about their label, such as like their sex or gender, or even where they are, or how they actually interact with those people in specific
Mm-hmm.
area. I mean, country itself, it could be inequality there, but how they overcame that and then be successful in that area. I usually feature those things. So I truly believe that if I just actually compete with my local area, there's lots of competition going on. You know what I mean? So like, I had to actually narrow down my services and then charge less, just if I'm targeting just local markets actually. But if you can actually think about another way around, for example, I'm doing great at marketing, especially social media marketing, but I also understand this landscape like Korean consumer behavior, Japanese behavior, other markets too. And then this is strong USP, you know what I mean? The market understanding and then my marketing expertise. These are two beautiful things, and then I can charge really better actually. So please don't stay in your country. Just think about another way around. Like you if you have a really great expertise about in your area, why
Mm.
not just go beyond your country? Like I think that's really wonderful. It's more about
Mm.
trade in a way.
Yeah, I love yeah, breaking down the borders. And like you say, whereas when you're in your own space, then you're competing with a lot of others like you, but taking your unique understanding and skills combined together to another place could actually be very unique, like what you're doing here. And I think that it's so great. It's inspiring to see you've got a YouTube channel or your marketing is done in English, because you're actually marketing to English speaking countries and
Yeah.
companies who want to come and leverage your unique understanding of how to do marketing in South Korea and in Japan. I think that that's it like you say, that makes it suddenly so much more unique and clearly a really in-demand
Thanks.
service. So yeah, I think that's great. How could we, maybe that's the question we should ask today, like how could we take what we're doing and do it somewhere else, and that would be of even more benefit to people in another place.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, for example, you already know like your service is really great in your like region, but sometimes some people even struggle because there is a really fierce competition going on, even though they are really great at. But some other countries, maybe they don't have that kind of services. You know what
Mm.
I mean? So it's about really great trade. Like you are offering those like really beautiful services to one market that doesn't have that services.
Yeah, exactly. Yes, it is curious, isn't it? And I always think, there's always room for people, and it is about finding what's something that can be of interest, that really takes your strength and lets you operate at your highest value. And I think, you could certainly just have build a marketing agency to do localized, but in doing what you're doing, like it just expands your potential and your vision so much broader, because you're really now stretching out of that local zone and doing something on a different scale. And what is normal in Korea, is not normal for a lot of us who wanted to
Yeah.
come in there. So it's like you're taking something that would be really hard for us, but making it easy. Yeah, and I love that, because I think, well, what is it that then we currently think is easy that might be hard for somebody else? Like, how could we use that
Mm-hmm.
same understanding and premise and do that in a different way? You've given us some food for thought. I think that's something to ponder.
My
Yeah,
pleasure.
have a think about as you're out on your walk or
I mean,
exercising, and see what comes up.
right now, I think the worldwide itself has some of like recession in a way in
Mm.
some economy, I
Hmm.
think. So if you just have one expertise, I don't think it's gonna be really successful in this like competitive like area. So that's why I brought these two ideas, like here
Mm.
marketing and then understanding about market, and then yeah, it's been my greatest revenue from there. So I can tell.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I think that's it's interesting you say that, because it's kind of so similar to what I teach my clients to do in my program. It's not about niching down, it's about finding your expert zone. And often it is combining the things that make you, the things that you're really great at, which might seem separate, but combining them together to create something that is specific. But in doing so, it also becomes more unique and different from what a lot of other people could even offer. And you've done it beautifully. So big congratulations. I think that's really wonderful. If anyone wants to connect with you and find out more, can you tell us how best to reach you? Where do you hang out, and what? Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm basically like everywhere, like Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube. Like when you search my name, actually on Google, you can see like all of those things.
Mm-hmm.
So you can actually connect with me really easily. But if you want to connect with me professionally, maybe you could go to LinkedIn for sure. But if you want to hang out with me on Instagram, and then you could go to Instagram for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. I'll make sure that we connect up your YouTube channel and your Instagram and LinkedIn all in the show notes. So drop down there and definitely reach out and connect with Hyein. Can I ask you whether you do your Instagram reels and content in the style that you use in Korea, or have you adapted to use sort of more of a style like you see us typically using in Australia or in the US?
So since my mentor is in the US, and then she was the speaker in ClickFunnels like a festival back then, so I usually incorporate my most of marketing from her, like what can I say, influence.
Yeah. Okay.
So it's more about not really directly, oh, this is from the US, like that vibe, but I'm kind of like targeting in the middle of somewhere. This is my Korean vibes here. So sometimes I talk about how life it is in Korea, something like that, or how my life as a business owner in Korea. Yeah, those all that thing. But at the same time, marketing strategy. So it's more about universal thing. So that's why I'm targeting more of a middle of somewhere, the US or Western cultures, and then the Asian culture.
Yeah, it's interesting because as you said before, there are some cultural differences about how you put the content together and design it. So I was interested to hear what you use yourself for your own business and what you most.
But the thing is, I'm not targeting like one specific market. It's more about my keywords, like Korean market, Japanese market, or even launching the special thing. So that's why I don't have to really localize everyone. But if I go to like, let's say over 8-figure business for my business, then I need to localize every single element. But at this point, we don't have any capacity
of course.
to do so.
No, I like it. Well, thank you so much for your time today. It's been such a great chat. Really enjoyed, thinking beyond the borders. So I love that. And we'll definitely be putting this episode out there as that beyond borders chat, really getting that global perspective, global to localize and how to localize successfully. So thank you for your time and appreciate it. And let's stay connected.
Oh, yeah. Thank you. Thank you for having me. It was such a great conversation we had so far, actually. So see you soon later. I don't know, like we can catch up later too. So
amazing. Thank you, Hyein. It's been great.
Thank you.